Each step echoed unnervingly, the shattered reflections around me fracturing with every tremor beneath my feet. The walls bent and twisted in impossible angles, and the once familiar faces in the glass warped into grotesque parodies of my own. The laughter, sharp, chilling, and maddening, reverberated endlessly, weaving itself into the very fabric of the maze. It was the clown in the mirror, the thing that had haunted my nights and twisted my days since I crossed the threshold of this cursed place. I clenched the diary tighter, the worn leather binding rough against my palm. Grandfather's cryptic words echoed in my mind. The mirrors are not just glass. They are prisons, reflections of fear and despair. To face the clown is to face yourself, your shadow, your past, your pain. The reflection before me shifted suddenly. My image multiplied, then fractured, splitting into dozens of versions, each one a distorted echo of me. One sneered with cruel eyes, another wept silent tears of anguish, and yet another reached out with trembling hands, pleading for salvation. Panic clawed at my chest, but I forced myself to breathe, to steady my shaking hands. "You can't escape me," the clown's voice slithered from behind the shattered glass, low and mocking. Slowly, the cracked porcelain mask emerged from the shadows. His hollow eyes, black voids reflecting my deepest fears, locked onto mine, and I felt my resolve waver. "You belong here now, with the others." I stumbled back, heart pounding. "I'm not afraid of you," I whispered, though fear gnawed at my insides like ravenous teeth. "Oh, but you should be," he said, stepping forward. The twisted smile on his cracked face stretched impossibly wide, revealing sharp, yellowed teeth. "You think you can break the curse? You think you're stronger than the fear that binds you?" Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught my eye. Beside me, a pale figure shimmered into existence. Mara, her translucent form was fragile yet resolute, her sorrowful eyes meeting mine with a warmth I hadn't felt in hours. "Ellie," she whispered, voice barely audible over the cacophony of distorted reflections. "Remember the words, the path in the diary. Hold on to hope. You're stronger than the shadows that seek to claim you." I swallowed hard and nodded, feeling a surge of determination flare within me. Mara's presence was a beacon in the suffocating darkness. The clown lunged, his form stretching unnaturally as the mirrors around us rippled like water. I dodged, heart hammering as I scanned the maze for the passage grandfather had hinted at. My fingers traced the diary's pages, recalling the hidden message about the mirror of truth, a fragile glass that, if shattered, could weaken the curse. There, ahead, a mirror gleamed with an unnatural light, its surface smoother and clearer than the rest. I sprinted toward it, the clown's laughter rising to a maddening pitch behind me. "You can't run from yourself," he taunted. With trembling hands, I raised a shard of broken glass from the floor and hurled it at the mirror. The impact shattered the glass into glittering fragments that caught the faint light, sending shards scattering like stars. The clown screamed a sound both human and monstrous as his form flickered and wavered. The maze convulsed violently, walls twisting and groaning as the malevolent force faltered. I seized the moment, pushing forward despite the dizzying shifts. The reflections around me began to stabilize, the nightmare momentarily broken. But I knew this was only the beginning. The truth about grandfather's disappearance, the depths of the curse, and my own darkest fears still waited beyond the fractured glass. Breathing heavily, I pressed on, the diary clutched tightly. The clown's laughter faded into a distant echo, but the battle was far from over. Somewhere within the shifting mirrors, the heart of the funhouse's darkness awaited, and I was ready to face it. The maze was no longer just a prison. It was a battleground. And I was fighting for everything I held dear: my family, my sanity, my very soul. I whispered to the shadows, I will not be afraid, not anymore. And with that, I stepped deeper into the maze, where the line between reality and nightmare blurred forever. Her heartbeat pounded fiercely in her chest, a frantic drumbeat that echoed off the countless shards of glass surrounding her. The fractured mirrors trembled and cracked with a sound like the distant thunder of a storm breaking loose, each splintering reflection fracturing the space around her like a shattered dream. Clutching her grandfather's diary tightly against her chest, Ellie took a tentative step forward. The worn leather cover was cold beneath her fingers, the cryptic passages she had deciphered burning fresh in her mind. Mara's ethereal voice still lingered in her thoughts, offering guidance amid the chaos. Focus on the truth beneath the lies, the ghostly figure had whispered, her translucent form shimmering faintly at Ellie's side. The mirrors hold more than reflections. They trap souls. Break the pattern, and you break the curse. Ellie's eyes flicked to the cracked porcelain face looming in the largest mirror ahead. The clown's hollow eyes, dark voids reflecting every fear she'd ever held, bore into her with a malevolent hunger. His twisted smile stretched impossibly wide, cracking further along the fragile surface of his face. He reached out through the glass, fingers clawing at the thin barrier that separated their realities. The air around him rippled with cold malice, and the sharp scent of shattered glass filled Ellie's nostrils. A surge of terror threatened to overwhelm her, but Ellie forced herself to breathe deeply, steadying her trembling hands. She opened the diary to the page marked with a faded ribbon, revealing a series of strange symbols and a passage scrawled in her grandfather's meticulous handwriting. When the mirrors fracture, the soul can slip free. The curse feeds on fire, deny it, and it weakens. Whispers echoed faintly through the maze, the voices of trapped souls mingling with the distant, haunting laughter of the clown. Ellie began to chant softly, repeating the words her grandfather had written, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. The fractured mirrors pulsed with an eerie light, shards vibrating violently as if resisting her will. Mara's ghostly figure appeared beside her once more, her sorrowful eyes meeting Ellie's with a flicker of hope. "Remember, Ellie," she urged, "the reflections are lies. Hold on to who you are." The clown roared in fury, his form flickering and twisting as the mirrors shattered with increasing violence. Jagged fragments spiraled through the air, catching the dim light and casting fractured rainbows across the walls. The twisted reflections of Ellie multiplied and warped, some snarling and hostile, others pleading silently for release. Ellie's voice rose over the din, the ritual gaining strength as the diary's secrets intertwined with Mara's cryptic guidance. The malevolent force that had stalked her through every reflection began to falter, the clown's twisted smile cracking into something resembling pain. Suddenly, a massive shard of glass exploded in front of Ellie, sending a spray of splinters flying like deadly rain. She flinched but pressed on, her determination a beacon in the encroaching darkness. The mirrors around her groaned and shattered further, the funhouse itself seeming to convulse as the curse unraveled. For a brief moment, silence fell. The fractured reflections stilled, the lingering shadows retreating into the fissures of broken glass. Ellie's breath came in ragged gasps as she surveyed the devastation. The mirrors were cracking, splintering, their hold weakening. But the clown was not defeated. From the depths of the shattered maze, his hollow eyes burned brighter, his twisted smile curling into a sinister promise. The battle was far from over. Ellie knew she had weakened the curse, but the funhouse's heart still pulsed with dark intent. Gathering her strength, She prepared for what was to come. The shattered reflections around her, a testament to the fight she had already endured. As the maze trembled and the fractured mirrors glowed with erratic light, Ellie whispered to herself, "I won't be trapped. Not today." The clown's laughter echoed once more, chilling and fractured, as the funhouse awaited its final reckoning. Shadows danced erratically across the warped glass surfaces, each reflection a fractured fragment of the nightmare I had endured. My breath came in ragged gasps, the sharp taste of dust and decay filling my mouth, but I knew this was the moment to end it. Before me stood the largest mirror in the maze, a towering monolith of gleaming glass that seemed to absorb the dim, flickering light rather than reflect it. Its surface rippled like dark water, and within its depths, the clown's grotesque visage loomed, its cracked porcelain face contorted into a twisted smile, hollow eyes reflecting every nightmare I had faced. It sneered at me, an unspoken challenge to surrender, to let fear consume me. My hands shook as I gripped the shard of broken glass I had pried from a shattered frame moments before. The cold edge bit into my palms, but I clenched my fists tighter, drawing on every ounce of determination that had carried me this far. "This ends now," I whispered, voice raw but resolute. With a surge of desperate courage, I hurled the shard forward. It struck the mirror's surface with a sharp crack that echoed like a gunshot through the maze. The glass fractured, spiderwebbing outward in jagged lines that shimmered with an otherworldly light. The clown's reflection twisted violently, its snarling face distorting as if the mirror itself was agonizing. A low hum filled the air, growing rapidly into a cacophony of shattering glass and wailing echoes. Mirrors all around me began to tremble and crack, shards breaking free and scattering like frozen tears. The funhouse trembled, the walls vibrating with the release of centuries of trapped dread. From the fractured reflections, faint whispers rose, voices of those who had been ensnared by the funhouse's dark curse. Among them, I thought I heard my grandfather's voice, tinged with sorrow and hope. The clown's hollow eyes leaked dark smoke, a malignant shadow dissolving as the malevolent entity unraveled before me. Its twisted smile faltered and cracked, fading into nothingness as the trapped souls drifted free, their whispers fading into peaceful silence. The oppressive weight that had clung to the maze lifted, replaced by a fragile stillness that hummed with the promise of dawn. As the last shards of glass tinkled to the floor, Mara appeared beside me, her ethereal form shimmering faintly. Her sorrowful eyes met mine, and she placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. No words were spoken, but her presence was a balm, a silent farewell and a beacon of hope. Slowly, Mara's form dissolved into the air, leaving me alone in the quiet aftermath. The funhouse, once a prison of warped realities and childhood terrors, stood broken and powerless. Yet, as I glanced back at the shattered mirrors and the fading shadows, a flicker of doubt gnawed at me. Was it truly over, or merely paused? The sun's first light crept over the horizon, casting long, trembling rays through the broken windows. I stepped forward, heart pounding, ready to face whatever awaited beyond the shattered glass. The curse was broken, or so I hoped. But deep inside, I knew that the reflections, like memories and fears, never truly disappear. They only wait, patiently, for the next soul to wander too close. And I was free, but forever changed. The nightmare had ended, but the story was far from over. The mirrors around me cracked and splintered, jagged shards falling like deadly rain, their edges glinting sharp and merciless in the flickering light. With every heartbeat hammering in my chest, I sprinted forward, desperate to escape the nightmare that was collapsing in on itself. The distorted laughter of the clown echoed behind me, a grotesque symphony of madness that chased my every step. His hollow eyes burned into my soul through fractured reflections, and shadowy versions of myself flickered at the edges of my vision-twisted doppelgangers that vanished the moment I tried to focus on them. The maze was breaking apart, and so was my grip on reality. This way, a soft, ethereal voice whispered beside me. I glanced to my left and caught the faint, translucent form of Mara, her sorrowful eyes reflecting the chaos around us. She pointed toward a faint glow ahead, a crack in the collapsing darkness where the first light of dawn bled through. No time to hesitate. I pushed harder, muscles burning as debris tumbled and the walls warped with impossible angles. The funhouse groaned like a dying beast, its malevolent heart shattering. Mirrors exploded around me, their fragments creating a dangerous path I had to navigate with faltering steps. The clown's laughter grew frantic, more desperate as he lost his hold on the twisted reality he had crafted. I could feel the shackles of fear loosening, but the weight of every nightmare I had faced pressed heavy on my shoulders. Every reflection, every shadow, every whispered lie clawed at my sanity. Finally, the exit shimmered, a headed set of double doors hanging ajar, bathed in the pale golden light of dawn. I lunged forward, crashing through the threshold and tumbling out onto the cracked pavement of the abandoned park. The fresh morning air was sharp and real against my skin, a stark contrast to the suffocating nightmare I left behind. Panting and trembling, I lay there, the first rays of sunlight warming my face as the funhouse collapsed into ruin behind me. The echoes of the clown's laughter faded into silence, but the shadows lingered in my mind, dancing just beyond the edges of vision. I was free, but the reflections of that night, the fractured realities, and the haunting presence of the clown were etched into my soul. The nightmare had ended, but its scars would remain. As the sun rose higher, casting long shadows over the desolate park, I knew this was only the beginning of living with what I had seen, and what I could never forget. Ellie stood just beyond the rusting gates, her breath shallow, visible in the crisp morning air. The silence around her was deafening after the cacophony of distorted echoes and sinister laughter that had filled the funhouse only hours before. Her legs trembled as she took a tentative step forward, away from the nightmare she had just survived. The cracked pavement beneath her feet bore remnants of faded carnival paint, peeling and worn with time, a ghostly reminder of the joy that once filled this place. As she glanced back, the towering Ferris wheel groaned softly in the breeze, its skeletal frame silhouetted against the pale sky, a monument to lost innocence and forgotten happiness. Ellie pulled her jacket tighter, the cool air biting at her skin, and wiped a smear of dirt from her cheek. She was disheveled, her dark hair tangled from the ordeal, and her wide eyes were shadowed with fatigue and fear, yet within them now burned a fragile spark of determination. The twisted reflections, the haunting clown, and the labyrinth of mirrors had attempted to break her, but she had endured. Somehow, she had survived. Her gaze drifted downward to a shard of broken glass lying near the exit. She crouched and peered into the jagged mirror, catching her reflection. The face staring back was pale and lined with exhaustion, eyes wide and haunted. Yet beneath the surface, a flicker of strength glimmered, a silent promise that she was not defeated. The funhouse had tried to claim her soul, but Ellie had fought back, and though the battle was won, the war with her own fears was far from over. She rose slowly, feeling the weight of the park's silence pressing down on her. The shadows of the ride stretched long behind her, warped and distorted like the reflections she had faced inside. They clung to her like a second skin, reminders of the darkness that had consumed so many before her. The clown's laughter still echoed faintly in her mind, a chilling undertone beneath the morning's quiet. Ellie took a deep breath and stepped forward, the gates creaking softly as they swayed in the breeze. Every step away from the park was a step toward freedom, yet with each one came the creeping realization that the shadows she carried might never fully release their grip. The funhouse was no longer a place she was trapped within, which as trapped within it was a part of her now, etched into her memory and her soul. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a tether to the world beyond the park. Tommy's name flashed on the screen, a silent reminder that she was not completely alone. She answered, her voice hoarse but steady. "I'm out," she whispered, unable to keep the tremor from her words. "I'm really out." Tommy's relieved voice came through the speaker, a lifeline. "Ellie, please come home. We'll figure this out together." A faint smile touched her lips, a fragile bridge between the terror she'd escaped and the hope she still clung to. "I will," she promised. As the sun climbed higher, Ellie turned away from the park, the shadows lengthening behind her like silent watchers. The journey ahead would be difficult. The reflections, the clown, the doppelgangers, they were all parts of her now, fragments of a fractured reality she would have to confront every day. But for the first time in a long while, Ellie felt the stirrings of courage, the quiet strength to face whatever came next, because the horror was not over not yet. But neither was she. And somewhere deep inside, Ellie knew that even in the darkest reflections, there was a chance for light. Returning home was supposed to be a relief, a retreat from the nightmare of the funhouse mirrors, but instead, it was the start of a new kind of struggler, battle against the silence that followed her like a shadow. Her bedroom was unchanged, the posters on the walls faded slightly, the furniture dust-kissed but still hers. Yet, the room felt smaller, the air heavier. Ellie sat on the edge of her bed, the worn leather cover of her grandfather's diary resting on her lap. Her fingers traced the embossed letters, a fragile connection to the man who had vanished into the depths of the funhouse's curse. The words inside the diary were cryptic, fragmented, but they were all she had proof of a family secret that had seeped into her very bones. She stared out the window, where the last light of dusk bled into the horizon. The world outside moved on, oblivious to what she carried within. The laughter of children playing in the distance, the hum of cars on the main road, the rustling leaves stirred by a gentle breezle. These sounds felt distant, muffled beneath the weight of her memories. The faces of those she once knew blurred with the distorted reflections she had seen in the funhouse mirrors. She longed to tell someone, to unburden the terror clawing at her mind, but the words caught in her throat like shards of glass. Who could understand the twisted realities she had faced? Who would believe the clown with the cracked porcelain face, the doppelgangers that whispered her fears back at her? Tommy was the first to try. He met her outside the local cafe, concern etched into his youthful features. His voice was gentle but edged with urgency. "Ellie, you don't have to carry this alone, but you have to tell me what's going on." Ellie's eyes flickered with a mix of hope and despair. She tried to explain, stumbling over the words as the memories surged, a kaleidoscope of fractured reflections, laughter that wasn't quite right, the suffocating maze of mirrors. Tommy listened, but the disbelief in his eyes was unmistakable. "Ellie, that sounds like a nightmare. Maybe you just need rest," he said softly, reaching out to touch her arm. Pain flickered across her face. It wasn't rest she needed. It was understanding. But how could she expect that from a world that had never seen the darkness lurking behind the funhouse's glass? Days blurred into nights as Ellie withdrew further into herself. The diary became her confidant, its pages worn and creased from constant reading. She wandered the quiet streets, the familiar landmarks now tinged with an eerie unfamiliarity. Even the laughter of children playing nearby no longer comforted her. Instead, it echoed a distant reminder of innocence lost. One evening, she found herself at her grandfather's old workshop, a dusty sanctuary filled with relics of a life intertwined with the amusement park. The faded carnival jacket hung on a hook, a silent testament to the man who had tried to shield his family from the curse. Ellie ran her hand over the fabric, feeling the weight of legacy pressing down on her. In that moment, she allowed herself to grieve, to mourn the loss of safety, of normalcy, and of the man who had vanished into the mirrored nightmare. Her breath caught in her throat, tears tracing silent paths down her cheeks. The isolation was suffocating, but it was also a crucible, forging a new strength within her. Ellie knew the road ahead would not be easy. The funhouse's curse had left marks deeper than scars and prints on her soul that no amount of daylight could fully erase. Yet, in the quiet aftermath, amidst the crushing loneliness and the struggle to be understood, a flicker of resilience emerged. She would carry the reflections with her, fractured but unbroken, and one day, perhaps, she would find a way to heal not alone, but with those who could finally see the shadows she bore. But for now, the silence was hers to bear, a heavy cloak woven from fear, loss, and the haunting echo of the clown's twisted smile. And as night settled over the town, Ellie lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if the horrors were truly behind her or if they lingered just beyond the edge of the light, waiting to creep back through the glass.